Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D is a third-person action arcade game with light horror elements and is one of two Resident Evil games released on the 3DS. Shout out to Kitty Game 007 for requesting I review a Resident Evil game on with today's video. Not really sure where to start today's review, so let's go graphics. They are very good for a 3DS game, with some very detailed environments and a fair amount of gore for what it is, along with a great soundtrack, although sound effects were just okay. This game consists of 21 sub-levels spread out among 5 levels, and can theoretically be beaten in maybe 2-ish hours, assuming you never fail a level. Admittedly, I never beat the game, as the final level is near impossible to beat, but after putting about 6 hours into this game and reaching the final level, I think I can justly review it. There's not really any story to this game, you just kill various mutants and monsters in the levels while trying to not die and get as many points as possible. Pretty fun and straightforward. The game gives you 8 characters to choose from. I only unlocked 7 as the final is unlocked upon completion of the game, and I mostly stuck with Jill Valentine, since she overall had the best weapons, something I'll get more into later. Each character has a second outfit locked behind challenges, and you can assign a maximum of 3 perks to characters to increase your chances of survival, such as increasing shotgun efficiency. And each character also has a brief bio to tell you a little bit about their backstory. I should probably note that, other than playing RE5 for maybe 2 hours, I have no prior experience with this franchise, but based off my limited knowledge of the series, you fight enemies from RE4 and 5 with quite a lot of variety, both in enemy design and abilities, with at least some locations being from RE4 and 5. You start the game with more basic enemies, infected humans, I think that's what they are, wielding simple melee weapons like shovels or pickaxes, but it gets considerably more intense later as enemies get ranged weapons, shock sticks, the ability to blow themselves up, mini bosses like a chainsaw guy or a giant axe wielding Juggernaut, my apologies, been playing too much COD Zombies, it can get a little dicey. Each level has a time limit, and the goal of almost every level is to kill as many enemies as possible, and you're given a letter grade after each level. I can't remember if a C or a B was required to pass, but it usually wasn't too hard to get a passing score. You can increase your time limit by finding and destroying red pillars, offering an extra 30 to 90 seconds, or by meleeing stunned enemies for a 3 to 5 second bonus. As stated earlier, I found Jill to have the best weapons of any character in the game. But why? Well, you start each level with not a lot of ammo, and you must rely on enemies dropping ammo or finding it in crates to replenish your supply. But what happens if you simply can't find more and run out? Other than stunned melee attacks, which first require shooting an enemy, only 2 characters in the game have melee weapons, Jill and some other dude whose weapon sucked, meaning they're the only characters capable of finding more ammo if they completely run out, which will happen, as again, it can only be found by killing enemies and destroying crates, which requires a weapon and you can't fire an empty gun, which is actually where one of my main complaints with this game comes in, a lack of melee attacks. This pretty much made every character except Jill useless, as once you're out of ammo with any other character, which can happen, you're just screwed. And again, that other dude with the melee weapon just sucked, so yeah, Jill was the only real reliable character in the game. My next issue was the controls, and the fact you were stationary while shooting. This game was held back by simply being a 3DS game, as, well, 3DS controls. This game has some clunky controls that definitely took some getting used to. About shooting, you cannot hip fire and must enter a first person mode to shoot, in which you cannot move until you exit your aiming mode, leaving you vulnerable to attacks from behind. I guess this was supposed to add a desperation effect, and it wasn't always an issue, but it could be annoying at times. And apparently, this title has a local multiplayer mode, which I cannot comment on as I lacked other players. But it's probably fun if you know someone who has it. And I know Resident Evil is a horror franchise, but I think they purposefully made this game more tame in that regard to be more arcadey, and it worked out well. Overall, I give this title a 8.7 out of 10. One of my favorite games on the console, but that's a low bar considering I've played less than a dozen 3DS games. Anyways, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. For new viewers here, I mostly play, review, and discuss horror and zombie games, so feel free to check out some of my other videos if that sounds like your cup of tea. Always remember that God made you special and He loves you all very much. Peace.